Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. Today we are taking a look at the new cards of the Azurite Sea Disney Lorcana expansion, which is releasing on the 15th of November for the organized Play Store, so starting from tomorrow, and available for public 2 weeks later on the 27th of November. So I would say let's jump right into the first card of the set. I'm going through all the ink colors, so there will be definitely some cards for everybody. Starting off for Amber, we got Lilo here, which is a 2-cost inkable card with 1/2 stat line and has the effect no place I would rather be. At the start of your turn, if this card is in your discard, you may play her and she enters the play exerted. And she quests also for 2. So yeah, I would say it's a really good, nice new card. Also a new tool for Steel Song, for example. So I would say, especially if your opponent is wiping your board with a Be Prepared, for example, it's a way to just retrieve another character with no card you have to spend from your hand, right? So you will get some value out of this card the longer the game goes, right? Because it's always a threat you can put into play and your opponent has to answer, kind of, because she's questing for 2, and I mean, you don't care if she's getting banished in challenge because you can just bring her back, right? So I would say this is a really good card. Also for aggro deck, when they are running low on cards, you can just spam your field again with some Lilos, right? Yeah, so definitely a card I will include on my buy list for set 6. Let's continue with the next card, and this is the legendary Simba. It's a 5-cost uninkable card. It has the 4/4 stat line, it has a shift 3, and it has the ability Understand the Balanced. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. It has a 4/4 stat line and quest for 2, which is pretty good, right? Because 4/4 is a really good stat line, because this means that the Medusa in red cannot banish her when she's entering the field, right? And also, opponent Sisu would need 2 ice block to reduce the power for a KO here. And yeah, I would say it's a really, really good card to have, especially in aggro decks with Amber Amethyst, for example, right? If you quest with your little buddies and then you maybe shift this one on your Simba, on your bodyguard from set 1, right? So this means that it is already exerted, and then you can just stand up all your 1-cost 2 lore characters, right? So I would say it's a really good card. I would definitely put this on my buy list to get your hand on some copies here, especially if you are like preferring some aggro builds. Let's get to the next card, which is the Tiana. It's also a legendary card. It's a 3-cost uninkable card. It has the 1/4 stat line and has the effect Special Reservation. Whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn, unless the player pays 3 ink. So yeah, I would say this is also a good card. I would also pair this well with some aggro variants, right? Because you can just build your board the first 2 turns, the first 3 turns, and then on the 4th turn, when this character is also questing and exerted, you kind of protect all of your other characters in play, right? So maybe in a Amber Emerald variant, right, where you have some Merfolk on one, or also some Pegasus lines available, right? I think this is a really good inclusion to have. Also 1/4 stat line is really good if you pair it well with the Rapunzel, also in Amber, right? To be played on 4 and heals 3 damage, and you get to draw 1 card for every damage you remove. So I would say really good card, 1/4 stat line, really good for the early game. 2 quest power is also really good. So definitely keep your eyes out for Tiana and yeah, get some copies of this one. So let's change the color. Now we are up to Amethyst. And yeah, the first card that stands out here is the Diablo here. 1-cost inkable card. 0 power, he has 1 resistance and has the ability Fly My Pet. When this character is banished, you may draw a card. So yeah, this is really good, especially for Ruby Amethyst decks, right? They want to establish parties which draw some cards, right? That keeps flowing and get you through your deck, right? And this is just a way to, put some pressure on the board. You can easily quest with it. If your opponent is wasting their attack to get rid of it, you just get to draw a card. So really, really good card. I also like the artwork here, right? Really cool artwork of the Diablo here. So yeah, definitely get your hand on a playset of these. Let's continue with the next card, which is the Genie, also in Amethyst. It's a 4-cost uninkable card. It has the 2/4 stat line and also has the word evasive printed on. So also a card that can deal very well with the Diablo, right? Because the 2/4 stat line, you can just banish him and then you're still surviving. He also has the effect What Comes Next. When you play this character, draw a card, which is also really good, right? Replacing himself when you play it down. And it also quests for 2, right? So really yeah, I would say strong card for the Amethyst color. I'm not quite sure how many you will include in your deck, right? Let's say Ruby Amethyst on 4, uninkable. He is competing with the Merlin Rabbit, right? Which can draw you multiple cards in the game, right? When you bounce him back. Maybe starting off with a 2-off, but I would say get your hands on a playset of them because you never know how important these are. So yeah, definitely I will grab 4 of these to have. And yeah, let's continue with the next card on the list, which is the Madame Mim here, also in Amethyst. She is a 3-cost uninkable card, which has the 2/3 stat line and has the effect pay 2, choose and discard a card and gain 1 lore. So you might think, okay, you're discarding a card, so you lose some card advantage there, but you gain lore, which is not the greatest. But I'm thinking of maybe some Amethyst Sapphire here, which in the late game really have, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 ink available, right? If you got some draw with your Flavor Sham available, maybe squeeze out turns even faster with like a big, maybe like Tamator, Lucky Dime combination. Also can sprinkle in discard here maybe to gain the missing lore, right? I would keep her in mind, I would say. Rather get them earlier than later, right? That's why she also on my buy list here. And I would say let's get to the next card on the list, which is the Peter Pan. It's also an uninkable card in Amethyst. 4-cost, 1/3 character, and has the effect Gacha. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, exert choosing opposing character. So also I think a candidate for a Amethyst Sapphire deck, right? Because you're usually putting more cards in your inkwell than other decks with the Sapphire combination, and you then have the opportunity to exert opposing characters, attack into them. I would say maybe it's just a 1 or 2 of in a deck, right? But I think it's a good card to have access to be able to challenge your opponent's board. Yeah, and that's why I also include this one on my buy list. Let's continue with the next card, which is the Maleficent's Staff. It's an item, it's a 2-cost inkable item, and it has the effect Back Fools. Whenever one of your opponent's character, items, or locations is returned to their hand from play, gain 1 lore. So yeah, I mean the first deck that comes to mind, right, is Ruby Amethyst, right? A really great contender in the last 2 meta games, I would say. Maybe even 3, right? I think it was also viable in set 3 and 2, I would say like 4 meta games. So you could include this in your Amethyst colored decks, right? To have a to increase your win percentage up against an opposing Ruby Amethyst deck, right? Because when you have this item in play, usually Ruby Amethyst cannot deal with other items. So when this sees the play, it sticks usually. You literally say, whenever you play one of your Rush Madame Mims or the Snake Madame Mims, right? You're gaining 1 lore. So you are progressing your win condition here. So yeah, I would say it's a really nice inclusion. It's a kind of a 1-card counter to one of the meta decks in the set. Yeah, but the question is, are you sacrificing some slots in your deck to counter this? I would say definitely get your hands on some copies of them, because I would say it's a really great item to have access to. Then I would say let's change the color and we will continue with the emerald color. And we got the Go-Go Tomago here, which is a 2-cost inkable card. It has the 2/2 stat line, also evasive printed on, which is pretty good, right? And it also has the effect Stop Whining, Movement Up. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. And she also quests for 1. I mean, first of all, the stat line is not the greatest. 2 ink and evasive and 1 lore is fine, definitely fine. But I think the ability that you can pay 2 ink to gain lore equal to the damaging opposing character is pretty good, right? Especially in the end game. Let's say if you're facing up against some Ruby Sapphire decks or some other decks with some high questing characters on board, right? You can just steal games out of nowhere by just playing this card down. So I would say this is a really, really good card for all Emerald decks. Maybe also compared with Emerald Sapphire, right? If you have some more ink to spend. So yeah, I would say get your copies of this card, because she will be making a splash in the meta game for sure, I would imagine. So up next is the Jasmine here. It's a legendary in Emerald. It's a 6-cost inkable card. It has the 5/5 stat line. It has the Shift 5 ability, so you can shift her. And yeah, she has the effect Ruler of the Seas. When you play this character, if you use Shift to play her, return all other exerted characters to their player's hands. So yeah, I would say this is a really, really great ability, really strong ability, but also expensive, right? Because you have to have a baby Jasmine on board or a morph, and then you have to pay 5 to shift her. And if you would combine this card, for example, with the Maleficent Staff, this would also be another way to gain 1, 2, 3, 4 lore, depending on how many characters your opponent has on board, right? And gaining lore in that amount. And I think it's also a good tool to have essentially, or especially against the aggro decks, right? Because they tend to usually exert all the characters they have on board, and when you can just bounce back all of them, it's a really great tempo swing in your favor. So I would say definitely a card to watch out, and you should get your hands on, and that's why I include this on my buy list for the set 6 here. Let's continue with another card in the emerald color, which is the Vessel. It's a 4/5 body and has the shift 4 written on it, and also has the effect twists and turns. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may pay 1 to have chosen opponent choose and discard a card. Great ability to have, right? Especially in a deck like Emerald and Sapphire, right? Where you have many inks available to spend to use this effect, right? And also the option to ink multiple times in your turn, right? You can maybe ink 1, 2, 3 cards per turn and make your opponent discard up to 1 to 3 cards. We all know how, we didn't like the Bucky meta game, right? Where we just discard our opponent cards in hand the whole time. So there's another tool coming in Emerald, and it also has a okay stat line, right? I mean, 4/5 is not the greatest because Maui can take care of this character. Why not being KO'd himself? So it's a fine stat line to have. At least the 4 strength make him resistance of the Medusa, which is pretty good. And the 2 lower on him is also a nice added benefit to have. So speaking of discard options, let's go to the next card, which is the Bend to My Will action card. It's a 7-cost uninkable card. It's action, no song, so it can be sung by any characters. And it says each opponent discards all cards in their hand. Pretty expensive card in the hand, right? But on the other side, it's also really powerful. I can just see this card being played together with the Sapphire combination, right? And being able to maybe ink it with Fishbone if you don't need it early game, right? And they usually also have the inks available to play out this action and maybe some other characters on card with, right? Otherwise, I don't think that this card will see play in other decks because it's just too expensive to play with, right? But still a strong ability on a card, so keep your eyes out, and I would definitely get at least 2 copies of this card. Let's continue with the last card for Emerald on my list, which is an action and a song card, Heffalumps and Woozles. It's a 2-cost inkable card, it's an action and a song. It's the effect chosen opposing character can quest during the next turn, draw a card. Might not seem strong, but I think this card is a way or option that Emerald player can delay the win condition of the opponent players, right? It is also a 2-cost song, so this means that cards like the Ursula, the double singer Ursula from set 3, is able to play it out twice. So this means that 2 opposing characters can quest and you get to draw 2 cards. So yeah, that's why I include this card on my buy list, and I would say now let's jump right into the ruby color. Quick reminder for everybody, there is a 1K subscriber giveaway I posted on my X Twitter account. So there is a really big giveaway in my opinion, where you can win some One Piece finalist cards from the offline regionals. You can also win an enchanted Lorcana card with the Ursula, and also some Pokemon merchandise like a deck box from Hawaii or a playmat from Yokohama Worlds, as well as a booster box of Stellar Crown, as well as some Espeon sleeves. If you want to participate, the giveaway will run until the 24th of November. I will then announce the winner in the comment. Please check it out. Subscribe to my socials like YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, and retweet, like, and comment this post. And then you are eligible for the drawing on the 24th of November. So yeah, I hope you participate in it, and thank you for your help so far. And yeah, I hope, if not already done, please subscribe to my channel and participate in the giveaway. And yeah, I really hope that you're enjoying my content so far. Let's get back to the video, where we have the Minnie Mouse here. It's a 3-cost uninkable card. It has the 3/2 stat line and has the effect Land Ho. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may return a location card from a discard to your hand. And it also quests for 1. Overall, I think this is a pretty nice effect to have. Putting cards into your inkwell, usually you pair this well with Sapphire, right? But on the other side, I mean, if you just have this card in play and you ink your regular card per turn, you also get the benefit of returning a location card from a discard to your hand. Could be a partner maybe for also the Jim Hawkins, right? Which plays out location with cost of 4 or less for free. Could be also played with some pirates, because she also has the pirate treat on her. So maybe a ruby and steel deck, right? And I would say, yeah, it's a good card to have. So yeah, that's why I would get a placeholder for just in case she makes a splash in the meta game. Up next we have Moana, which is a rare card from set 6. She's a 7-cost inkable card, which has the 6/5 stat line and also shift 5. option and has the effect Gathering Forces. When you play this character, you may move any number of your characters to the same location for free, and you gain 1 lore for each character you moved. It is a pretty expensive card to play, right? Yeah, as I mentioned before with the Jim Hawkins, let's say you play Alle Jim Hawkins a turn earlier and maybe up with a Alle Rechte, Sea, right? And then next turn you play the Moana and then move all your characters to the Alle Rechte Sea for free and also getting some lore. Yeah, because all the characters on the Alle Rechte Sea getting evasive. I think this could be yeah, some interesting decks, right? Some maybe off-meta decks, but I wouldn't count it out. I think the ability is strong. You have to pair this with the Sapphire combination to have, yeah, to accelerate your ink, right? And I just find this very useful and really strong ability to have, and that's why I include her on my buy list for Azurite Sea. Next up, we have Maui, the new legendary, also in Ruby. This is a 6-cost inkable 7/5 character, which has the evasive trait. So I think one of the strongest evasive characters we have out here. And he also has the effect Chihu. Whenever this character challenges another character, you may return an action card from your discard to your hand, which is pretty strong, right? Because you get to pick just any action you want. And it has the other effect, Wayfinding. Whenever you play an action, gain 1 lore. So yeah, overall I think it's a pretty strong character. I think it's a different kind of Maui than the one from set 1, right? Because the set 1 Maui is rather a challenging card, right? It threatens opposing boards, also threatening opposing locations. And this here is more like a control-ish tool, I would say, right? Because he has evasive written on it, so hard to deal with. He just threatens all other evasive characters because he has a 7/5 stat line, and also is able to get out your action cards from the discard, and you're also gaining 1 lore by every action you play. So maybe it's paired with an emerald color, right? Some strong action card that forces your opponent maybe to discard some cards, right? But I'm really excited to see where this Maui makes the best splash, and that's why I would definitely get a playset of these if you can. Let's jump right into the next card. So next card on my list is the Sapphire Oswald. It's also a legendary card. It's a 2-cost uninkable card with the 2/1 stat line and has the favorable chance ability. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an item card, you may play that item for free and it enters play exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. Yeah, especially in your Sapphire decks, you play a high count of item cards. So usually you're playing around 15 to 20 item cards, right? So let's say you have a 1/3 chance that your top deck is an item card. You can just pay for free if you just ink something, right? And it doesn't state that you can only use this card effect once, right? So let's say you have for example, a Fishbone Quill. So you are able to use this effect multiple times during your turn. So this means, yeah, for example, if you have a Fishbone Quill available, or a 1 jump ahead, or event wheel or action card, we see the next cards, and you ink multiple times, you can trigger this card really multiple times, right? And maybe get to play 1, 2, 3 items for free exerted, which is pretty strong, right? Maybe also cards like Mori's Workshop will see some more play, right? Because this is a card, it doesn't matter if this card is exerted or not. If this card is in play, Mori's Workshop, you get the effect of it, and the effect is that every time when you play another item card, you can pay 1 ink to draw a card, right? Yeah, so overall I would say a pretty good card, and I would say let's jump right to the next card in the Sapphire ink color, which is the Alice. This is an epic card. It's a 3-cost uninkable card. She has a 1/4 stat line and has the ward written on her, and has the effect Ahoy. Whenever this character quests, another chosen character of yours gets +1 lore and gains ward until the start of your next turn. So this is a pretty good effect, right? If you play her on 3, right, she has ward, so she can't be brawled away, for example. In the turn after, you can quest freely with her, getting 2 lore, and also you can give one of your other characters ward and +1 lore as well. So pretty strong effect to have, and I would definitely get a playset of the Alice for sure. Next up, we have a action card. So this is in theme with the name of the set, Sail the Azurite Sea. It's a 2-cost inkable action and has the effect this turn you may put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell face down, draw a card. So yeah, now we got another 2-cost option for Sapphire decks which compete against yeah, Tipu or 1 jump ahead, right? Which is also accelerating your ink. I mean, compared to 1 jump ahead, it's an inkable card, so you can also ink this if you want to. It is not a song card, right? So this means the yeah, Emerald Ursula is not able to pick this card from your hand, which is pretty strong. And yeah, compared to 1 jump ahead, you choose a card, so you know which card you put into your inkwell, right? And you get to draw a random card. And with 1 jump, you are inking a random card from top of your deck. So I would say you have a little bit more agency which cards are in your inkwell compared to the 1 jump ahead, right? Because it could also happen 1 jump ahead that you ink your lucky dimes, right? This is something this card definitely avoids. I would say, yeah, it's definitely a 4-off card on my buy list, and you should also get your hands on some of these. Next up, we have also another 1-cost event in Sapphire, Prepare Your Bot. It's an action card, And you can choose one, either your already chosen item or your already chosen robot character, and they can quest for the rest of this turn. So yeah, the obvious combo with this action card is definitely you ready your lucky dime just to reuse it again, because it doesn't state on this card that this item cannot be used again. I would say this is a powerful tool for all Sapphire decks that are playing the lucky dime, because now you're not threatening to use a lucky dime once, are threatening to use a lucky dime maybe twice or 3 times per turn, right? Out of nowhere. Because it's also a 1-cost event, yeah, I mean, it doesn't cost too much to rest up your lucky dime. I mean, sure, you have to also pay another 2 ink, right, to be able to use a lucky dime, but yeah, Sapphire decks usually have a lot of ink available, essentially, or especially in the late games. So yeah, I would definitely get a playset of these here. I'm sure that we're seeing some Sapphire decks running this card as a 1, 2, or 3, or maybe 4 off, because it's also an inkable card. So next up we have the Steel color. A card I liked here is the Pluto. It's a 4-cost inkable card. It has a 1/5 stat line and also has the Bodyguard trait. So this means that you can also play this card Exerted. And it has the Good Boy ability. While this character has no damage, he gets +4 strength, which is pretty important, right? Because you can play this on 4, you can play him Exerted, then he has a 5/5 stat line, which means when your opponent is, let's say, a ruby colored deck, is getting to 5 ink and plays a Maui, and Maui is then attacking into Pluto, that Pluto is also knocking out Maui, which is pretty good, right? Another benefit, it's an inkable card, and it's also 4-cost, so this means that you can sing cards like the action card Zeus to yeah, just kill some opponent characters. Overall, I would say a pretty good card, and I think he will make some way into some Steel Song decks in the set 6 metagame for sure. So next up we have a legendary of the Steel colored here, so Wreck-It Ralph. It's a 6-cost uninkable card. It has the 4/4 stat line, which is also important, right? That you are, yeah, resistance to the Medusa, right? And also your Sisu has a hard time to get rid of this card. It has a 3 lore printed on it, and also has the effect I wreck things. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item or location to gain 2 lore. So overall, I would say it's a pretty good inclusion in some Sapphire Steel decks, because you have the option to either banish one of your item or locations or one of your opponents, because it doesn't state that it has to be your. So yeah, it's also a tool to get rid of opponents' locations or items in general and squeeze out some lore. So yeah, I would say pretty interesting card to have, especially in like a Sapphire Steel deck. As a 1 or 2 of, right, I would definitely get my hands on a couple of them to have them available. And the last card on my buy list is the Calhoun. It's also an uninkable card in the Steel color. It has a 3/2 stat line, but it just costs 2 ink here to play, and also has to resist 1, so a pretty tough character, and also has the effect level up during your turn. Whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. So I would say this is a pretty good tool, especially against some aggro decks, right? Because with the resist 1, you maybe take no damage at all, because the aggro characters usually have just a 1/1 stat line or a really low attacking power. So it could be that this character is surviving some turns, threatening some chaos on your opponent's side, and advancing your lore state as well. So I would say it's like a small Robin Hood kind of, right? And I would definitely get a playset of them for sure to include in my Steel decks. And yeah, that's it for the moment. That's my first impressions of the cards. I would think that you should buy and get some copies of. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. I would really appreciate your support. And if you want to see videos like this in the future, yeah, just comment, let me know. And then I would also maybe include more Lorcana videos in the future. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.